Hey, drawing. Today we're going to talk about kind of what's going to become our kind of standard thing. Each week I'm going to be assigning kind of a major project, depending on how the workflow goes. We have a 3 shapes shading project. Now, you did this last week with kind of in your daily drawing notebook, and we sketched out a cube. And if you remember that process, we started with a 2-dimensional flat shape, so like a square, and then we added a couple lines, added a little more to it, and turned it into a 3-dimensional cube. And then I gave a lesson on lighting and shading and value. Okay, I want this project to be, it's basically in the gradebook, it's going to be titled three shape shading project, and I want you to choose 3 shapes of your choice. Can be any shapes, and then they need to be stacked and kind of filling the majority of the space. Don't draw them. An amateur common mistake is students will draw them too small in relation to the size of the paper, and they're just floating kind of by themselves, all 3 of them, tiny and small. Okay, what I want is all 3 shapes drawn very big. Keep maybe this in mind. They should be around 1/3 of the overall space or area of your paper, okay, if not bigger. Okay, there's a couple techniques or terms I want to try to explain here that are extremely important for visual art. You'll probably be using them throughout the whole school year. So one concept is overlapping, okay, and you can see the effects of overlapping all the time around you. Objects that are closer to you appear slightly bigger. Your attention goes to them because they're close to you. However, you notice that the object that's close to you is clear because nothing is in the way. However, between your line of sight and that object that's closest to you. However, there's objects behind it that the object closest to you overlaps and covers, okay? So this concept of overlapping is actually very real and observable all the time in the world around us. What you need to do is you need to make your 3 shapes have overlap effect, okay? So in the video of me drawing my 3 shapes, I start with kind of my pyramid in front. I just sketch the outline. I don't really go into any shading. I sketch maybe the start of my circle or what becomes my sphere. And then in the background, I have a big rectangle that's behind both of these shapes. Okay, and I've sped the video up, but you can see these shapes as I draw them. The rectangle in the background would be an example of where it is being overlapped by the shapes in front of it, okay? And I'm going to want you to try to do something similar. Draw your shapes large, have at least a shape or maybe 2 of them kind of behind another shape, and try to fill your space, your paper up, okay? This all is part of another term that we use a lot called composition, okay? In a good piece of art, the artist is going to try to have good composition where the space of the paper is efficiently used, meaning they're not just having tons of empty negative space all over the place. That's just blank, empty paper. And then they also are trying to use their paper efficiently to draw their picture kind of in an interesting, dynamic way for future people who view the art, okay? And this really is kind of a goal for most visual artists, kind of lifelong. Many artists have perfected their efficiency of how composition is delivered on the paper, and this is just something you're going to learn doing projects through experience, okay? So if you follow this term, this concept of overlapping, usually your overall composition of your picture will be better. Okay, so talked about the 3 shapes, Some of the tools that you're going to be using for this in your art kit, just a standard pencil. I prefer a standard pencil because graphite, you're going to be shading this. I want all of the shapes shaded, and I want a cast shadow for each shape, which also means you're going to need to put a direction, a light source in, and then the direction that the light is traveling. Okay. And I just like using, you can see it in the picture itself, the demonstration video that I have recorded, but you're going to use a lot of graphite. Okay. If you're more comfortable using a mechanical pencil, that's fine. You're just going to probably, when you get to the shading step, kind of the last step of shading your shapes, I might suggest you switch to a standard pencil because you're going to use a lot of graphite. I don't want you wasting all your lead. Okay. There's another tool in your art kit, a paper blender, and you can use this. I used it a little bit, but I'm probably more comfortable just using my fingers, and you'll see me blending and smearing the graphite with my finger. Okay. And then I used an eraser pretty extensively, a cap eraser, or even the eraser on the end of my pencil. And between these three tools, you can create your drawing. So have fun and get drawing.